Hey, it's your boy, Chef Cholo from the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. Today and forever, we're always going to be powered by Hospitality News Magazine. If you're looking to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the hospitality industry today and tomorrow, look no further than Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine Online. You already know. This is the Go Crying to Walk In podcast, and I'm Chef Cholo. You already know. Today I'm set in my new studio. Everybody can tell I'm in a new spot. I'm feeling very, very cool in my new location. I got Abe, the board op, over there killing it right now, taking care of the sound for Chef Cholo. And today's guest is something very, very special and very, very cool to Long Island. Now, everybody knows, being a chef and, eating out is a big part of our lives because, cooking all week and, we're in the restaurant and, we got to go home eventually, you know what I mean? And then we have to eat eventually. And, I used to plan meals for my children and my family as they were growing up, and I would have them pre-made and my wife would hook them up. But, eventually I would have to come home and I would be there and, everybody be looking at me, chef, what are we having for dinner? What are we going to eat? And, obviously I cook a lot at home, but there's always times where I don't want to cook. So eating out is always a thing. Now, my wife will tell you when I go to eat out, it could take a half an hour to figure out where we're going to go. And I'm here and I'm there. And now with social media, I'm all over the place. Because I'm always trying to find not just something to eat, but something that's fun for me. And then something that's going to be good for my kids, Now, I've been living in the Three Village area for 20-something years. Now, it's a busy area. They got a lot of restaurants, but, a lot of regular standard places. In this last 20-something years I've been there, there's been an establishment that's been in the town of Port Jefferson that's been very, very close to me and very, very important to my family. And again, once something's important to me and my family, everybody around me knows about it. Everybody knows that that's where I like to eat and that's where I like to go. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce my new brother, Terry, my man from Toast. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great.
All right.
How you doing, Chef?
All right.
Thank you for that introduction. That was really nice.
Awesome.
And,
now I talked quickly about Toast being in Port Jefferson, but now Toast has grown to a massive empire. And what are we talking? Bayshore, Patchogue, and Port Jefferson.
And Port Jefferson Station now. So we moved uptown.
Yes, which is an awesome. Now again, let's talk a minute about that. Terry had a small location in Port Jeff. I was standing outside in the cold many, many times, and not unhappily, happily to stand outside and have green apple and peanut butter French toast, my friend. You see, now we're going back.
Yes,
we're reaching back.
That's an OG menu item.
That is a big one, along with the Gringo burrito, who's still on there, right?
Still there.
You can't get rid of. That was my wife. My wife got the Gringo. I got the peanut butter and green apple French toast. Who knows what my kids were going to do? I was always able to get a beautiful handmade coffee, from a barista. Something special. Last time I was there, I had Christmas cookie latte.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Fire. All fire. Anyway, enough about me and what I'm eating. So I met Terry recently. We sat down at the restaurant. We talked, and I learned a little bit about his life, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Terry, let's go back now. I want to go back all the way to high school, and then this trip to Alaska that for me, it sounded like it started off your life.
It did. That was the kickoff.
Canning salmon.
Canning salmon, yes. It started out with 14 of us. It was finishing up our high school year.
14
guys were going. At the end, after talking about it for months, it ended up being me and one other guy.
Yeah, I seen that movie once.
Yeah. And at the time, we ended up buying this pamphlet. I got online, not online, in the mail.
There was no online.
There was no online. So this is 1991. And we looked up the places we were going to go. And when we arrived in Alaska, it turned out that book was 6 or 7 years old, and the cannery had been closed for 5 years.
No cannery left.
Yeah, no cannery.
But there were many canneries.
There were. So we ended up hitchhiking 88 miles until we found...
Now, did you hitchhike to Alaska from Long Island?
No.
You took a plane?
I took a plane, yeah. We arrived in
took the easy way out.
Yeah, in Homer. But that for me really kind of kicked off this whole move-a-maniac lifestyle that, I couldn't get enough of traveling. I couldn't get enough of, the country. And
What goes on, with salmon? Like you told me, like everyone's just hanging out and waiting.
Yes.
And then finally now, these salmons, they come out of rivers? Oh no, they're coming out of big bodies of water like oceans.
No, they're coming up the rivers. They're
And they net these things, or they're catching them on lines?
So there's set nets, and then they're set netting.
And they're filling whatever big containers worth of fish, and they're bringing it back to the cannery, and now everybody's got to stop smoking weed and drinking beer and get back on the line.
And that's right. And these flappers are pushing the fish down, and it's king salmon this way and pink salmon that way. And
so it was actually being put in two different,
in boxes.
Different species were being separated at that point. So you had to learn about that.
Yeah. Yep. And
Wow.
the Japanese companies were there when they were taking all the caviar, all those fish eggs
So
out.
so immediately, there's things happening all over. Fish eggs are going here. Salmon meat is going here.
Yeah.
You can't use the bones of salmon for anything. No, it's too oily. It smells too bad.
Yeah.
All right. So you spent how long were you in Alaska?
So that was for the summer, and it was probably about 6 weeks of solid hours of work where you can get as much overtime as you can, and there were 24-hour straights where we just stayed up and
24 hours working.
Working straight, yeah. And then I left to come home, and the guy I went with stayed for 2 years, and
Stayed in Alaska.
Stayed in Alaska, and we stayed in touch and met again when he did a cross-country trip. And this is my friend Greg, who I'm actually visiting next month.
Shout out to Greg.
Shout out to Greg. And then from there we traveled, and I had a culinary background working in restaurants. I got my first job in the pantry making salads and desserts. Moved into the lunch section, and then a little bit on the line, but not too much. But it was enough to get me in the door at restaurants out west.
And having a New York work ethic probably didn't hurt.
Yes, yeah. I came in and worked fast and talked fast, and everybody was like, "Can you slow down, man?"
This guy knows what's happening.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, the other guys were like, "Hey, you're making us look bad. Can you slow down?" Yeah, I heard that before. I usually get rid of that person that says that.
Right.
Yeah. That happens here in New York too.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
But it was, for me, it was still a job. It was something I knew I could get and do well at. I don't know that I loved it at that point in my career. It wasn't until a little bit later on that, and I remember being in New Mexico, and there was a restaurant where there's an older Spanish gentleman that just had my number from the minute I walked in and was like, "Oh,
he was going to break you."
Yeah, he was. And he saw it. And,
but he didn't.
No, he actually talked about food in a way I never heard before. And if you know everything about food, then you know nothing about this industry. And
I gotta respect that.
It took me a lifetime to get to where I am, and I still don't know everything. And for me, it just clicked. And the combinations of food and the flavor profiles. And
so this was a Mexican person.
Yeah.
Not an American guy.
Not American, no.
And he was a trained chef, or no, just like just a guy that loved food?
Just a guy that loved food history, loved talking about, what these things
places
meant to him.
And places and stuff like that. Wow.
Where to get these,
And then eventually he grew fond of you, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
And then he would start to teach you.
Yes, and then it was, this is how you make the sauce, and this is how you combine this flavor. No. What are you doing?
Really?
So, yeah, and it was
to the very end. He watched over you.
Yeah. He kept it.
Do you ever get to correspond with this person anymore?
No. So I wasn't staying in one place very long. Right. So after 8 months, I had to go somewhere else. So I left and took that little piece with me. And really didn't appreciate it until later on when I had my own place and I was coming up with daily specials and thinking about food, and this guy just was in my mind, was in my head for years. So,
screaming still at you.
Yeah, just like,
still
what are you doing? Why, when I'd mess something up, I'd be like,
I feel the same way about a lot of early things in my life. When I went to cooking school, I think I went through the whole program not really knowing what was going on.
Right.
Really, I graduated at an early age. I graduated before I was 19. And, most of the guys in the CIA at that point were like, above 25. I mean, I had guys in my class that were 42 years old. Yeah. And I got through the whole thing, and I went through the testing, and, I cheated on a lot of stuff and notebook stuff because I didn't know how to carry a notebook. But I didn't really start to realize what they taught us until many, many years after working in the kitchens. And I was like, wow, that's what that was all about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that sticking with something, because again, a lot of guys, they go through stuff in their youth and they try something out, and a job like we do is not easy, and they immediately look to do something else. Maybe it's a it's a parallel to what we do, and so they could understand the lingo and stuff like that, whether it's sales or something like that. But, to stick with it and then to have that kind of revelation, to say, oh man, this is what he was talking about. I mean, not many of us get to experience that. So that's awesome, brother.
Yeah. And it really just kicked on this whole other feeling of family for me too. And also, as a cook or chef in the kitchen and on busy weekend nights, it's like you're going to war, but you're at war with your family, and
it's all family,
and you're all counting on each other and yelling at each other and getting mad, but also forgiving instantly, and just
because what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You got to stand next to that guy another 3 hours.
That's right.
Hey, it's your boy Chef Cholo from the Go Crying to Walk In podcast, and if you're like me, you yearn for that old school relationship between purveyors and chefs. Nowadays, they got me going on a website, looking up my own orders, placing my own orders. I don't even know if the thing's going to get delivered the next day. I got nobody to talk to. If you're looking for that old school service with aggressive pricing, look no further than American Food Connection. What you do is you call the number at the bottom of the screen, you ask for Danny, and you get it straight. You already know. So we use that word in our kitchen a lot. Family use that word a lot.
Yeah, I do, and especially when I'm, now in creating culture, and trying to translate that from an owner's perspective.
Right.
It's a challenge, but
so what? Yeah. At what point do you think during Toast's Toast history that you really transition? Let's say, because you just said that, where you started to transition from being just the chef and the creative person that was building this business to the point where now you said you were able to take a step back and say, you know what? I want to build this family. I want to build this. You said the word culture, and I couldn't hear that any clearer, brother. That you're creating a culture, because I visit your stores and I could see what you're saying. So, how long did that take you? That like how many years were you doing this at Toast? And then was it when you opened the second location, or no? That it still took even longer.
Yeah. So it's hard to kind of put your finger on, because it's the why, like the why we're doing this. And for me, when I traveled and I would go into these different towns and communities, I would go to this coffee house, and from there I could learn all about the town in a few hours. I would have met a couple of people and been invited to a party, or knew where the best restaurant was.
Always go to the place where they don't want tourists there.
Yes, right.
Go to the restaurant or the bar where they stare at you for the first half hour and hoping that you leave, but don't leave.
Right.
And if you're still there, they will come over to you, embrace you, and then you will really learn about what's happening in the area. Am
absolutely.
I right?
100%. And, for me, that was something that I wanted to capture and bottle up. It was like this sense of community and this really cool space that, everybody was there in the morning getting their coffee, and it just, you could just hear the conversations, and you were like, whoa, I'm not part of this, and I want to be,
You want to start people's day.
Yeah, I want to start people's day. I want this.
That's hot, man.
I want this place to be, recognized when you walk in here. And I want you to bring people from out of town in here, because you have to show them, that was my hard to put my finger on cultural piece that I don't want to lose, and I really protect it, from the hiring points to bringing in new staff, and I try to make everybody understand, like, this is, we're welcoming people into our family, into this little cultural spot.
How do you handle staff nowadays? Is this like you have a big training process? You have like a testing process? Is there anything happening over there like that?
Yeah. It's the biggest part, because you have to work twice as hard if you don't get the right person. So,
exactly.
And you never, so we really try to make that piece an important piece, and it's really, people kind of have it or they don't with the hospitality industry. If there's people that want to, kind of serve people, and they laugh easily, and they're, welcoming and
unflappable, as we say.
Unflappable, right? And that is something that,
I definitely don't have that. Just so we get that straight.
That's why you're
not unflappable. Tried being a front of the house guy a couple times. Insulted every 5 minutes. Crying every 2 seconds. Not bad with rejection.
Yeah.
Bad with rejection.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a challenge, but we look for those qualities, and then we just teach them the systems. Right.
For a guy that goes to your restaurants, you're hitting them. You're 100% on all of that, Terry. So congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
So So now, you got so now we're here today. You got 3 restaurants. You're consulting on concepts. You told me something about Famous Dave's. You were like, you developed a breakfast program for them?
I did in Minnesota. Yeah.
How do they they call me to Long Island? How do they find out about Terry? How do they know about Toast?
So through a mutual friend, we got introduced. They were looking to move one of their larger concepts to a quick service model, and we got to talk, and I invited them back to Toast. And in the middle of the conversation, one of the gentlemen that was on the board said, "Okay, everybody stop. I'm going to need you to sign a non-disclosure agreement."
Right there.
First meeting. And I was like, "What?"
That's freaking exciting, man.
And he said, "We want to, we want to talk to you. And
we want to do this.
We want to do this. I think you're the right guy." So, I was hired to consult for them in the Midwest, which was super flattering, and they were great guys.
Did you have to go out there, or were you able to do everything from here?
Yeah, I flew out there 5 or 6 times.
Did you say Minnesota?
Minnesota, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a very cool experience, and we got to talk breakfast, and they really loved Toast and the concept, and then we ended up developing a breakfast menu for one of their joint ventures. They were going to put inside one of their nighttime, it was Granite City Brewery, and they were going to do a breakfast concept. I think it's called Village Inn Cafe. And
it's happening right now.
So it happened.
So if you're in Minnesota, you could go to one of these places.
You can go to these Village Inn cafes, and you'll see a lot of similarities between our Toast menu. And
that's cool,
and
man.
Listen,
this is. I mean, it's a common denominator. But what's cool is I never feel like I'm seeing the same thing when I'm in your spot, brother.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, I'm always excited. So, kudos to you on that. How do you handle that? Are you heavy with social media? Do you read, or is it just like me? You're just food just comes to you.
At this stage, I try to involve my chefs in each location and the sous chefs and
That's awesome.
New hires.
That's
and
awesome.
I want everybody to feel part of it. And of course, it goes through a vetting process, and we'll taste it and tweak it. But I do a ton of reading. We just created those mimosa flights, and it was something that I saw, on in the magazine I was reading. And
Mimosa flight, what's that?
So we give you now on a board a flight of different mimosas.
Wow!
So you can have 4 to a
different juices mixed in with the
different
champagne,
juices and coconuts and
coconut things like that.
We do some really fun stuff there. So
wow,
we're doing that now with coffee and hot chocolate as well. So we just keep
hot chocolate.
Yeah, this is for this month in January.
So you get a hot chocolate flight.
We can get a hot chocolate flight.
That's hot. Yeah, that's hot, right?
It's pretty awesome.
So it's white chocolate, dark chocolate. Wait a minute, or is it those because again, I see things. I mean, I can never tell a difference, but someone will give me a gift of chocolate, percentage, and then I eat it all at one time. I don't know, it all tastes like chocolate. But is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Or you just dark light or whatever, or flavor,
salted caramel, and we do a lot with.
It's a little taster, or you got to drink a lot.
Yeah, it's a little taster. So you get one's a s'mores hot chocolate.
S'mores hot chocolate.
So these are.
You ever have the s'mores Ben and Jerry ice cream?
No.
Oh. So what makes it really is it's called Gimme S'mores, right? And again, when I do something s'mores now, I do it. It's not only graham cracker, marshmallow, and the chocolate. They wing this, they can't say Oreo, but Oreo cookie butter is in this little thing. And I don't know, man, the Oreo and the graham cracker thing and the fluff that's in there, it's money, man. It's money. I make a cookie like that.
Yeah,
I make a cookie like that.
That's awesome.
Ice cream's awesome, right?
It is. It sure
I
is.
love ice cream. Yeah. I was on a diet recently, so I've excluded myself from ice cream. Now, last time I saw you, you said, let's do this thing in the morning because I got to go to the gym. So let's talk a little bit about the gym, brother. Because I'm into that. Everybody knows Chef Cholo lost 100 pounds the last 2 years.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And how do you handle the gym? You have a trainer?
I do. I go to Girardi Fitness in Port Jeff Station.
Over in Port Jeff.
Yeah, and Mike is he's super talented. Fantastic trainer.
Is he screaming at you the whole time?
No,
he's cool.
He's super cool. He's
I've seen that though, the trainer wickedness. Yeah, I might need that.
No, yeah, he's just very, we'll talk, and he's got his fingers out counting my reps. He doesn't let me cheat. He keeps, he'll send me little text messages during the week about food or nutrition things if that's the focus of the week.
I mean, let's face it, man. We got to live longer.
We do, and it's just nice having taking time out for yourself because again, I'm built in a way that I would just work all the time and not take a break and check in on my health and self. So recently,
I keep saying the same thing, but we met recently. We talked about a bunch of things, and so growing up on Long Island, and obviously being a guy that goes after restaurants. Before Toast, again, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There was Maureen's Kitchen.
Yes,
and I thought it was so awesome the way you told me. First of all, you told me the story like this. You were like, I'm never going to open up a restaurant near Maureen's Kitchen because we have a family connection. I was like, wow, that's awesome because really nobody cares about anybody in this world.
That's true. Yeah.
And you can and then you told me a story. So please, you're going to have to tell us a story about being sick.
Yes.
And I got everybody has to know this because I've been telling it since we left. We left that day, just so you know.
Yeah. So and Maureen has been. A family friend for years, and my mother worked there as a hostess while she was a nurse on the side, and I've never actually worked there, but she's always been somebody that I remember speaking to her about wanting to create a coffee house one day and doing breakfast, and she was very supportive. And the day came, and we opened up Toast finally, and I got sick as a dog. I was in the back. And I didn't know how I was standing. My eyes are watering. My mother walks back there, and she's like, no, you cannot work. You can get other people sick. You're done. Just go upstairs. And I'm like, I can't. It's Saturday.
Where am I going to go?
Yeah. So, and we were living upstairs at the time. So my mother said, I'm going to call Maureen. I was like, no, can't call Maureen. It's my first week open.
Embarrassed.
And, I'm embarrassed. And she's like, she's probably got a cook that can come and help. I'm like, please, you got to go. So I'm cleaning up and, felt like 10 minutes, and I see Maureen come walking in the front door with her apron. Puts her apron on, and I'm like, oh, no, you're not coming in here, Maureen.
Maureen came to the kitchen. Not a cook.
No.
Not the dishwasher. Not her lease guy that she was okay to sending. Maureen came to rescue Terry.
She rescued me in my first week, and I'm forever indebted to her.
How could you not be?
Yeah, it was amazing. And she just she was a pro. She took the whole day.
Took your menu and did it the whole day.
She did the whole day like it was
nothing.
Right.
You've been to Maureen's. You see how many people they serve over there. Forget about it. I used to go to Maureen's when it was on the other side of on 347. Yeah. The door, if you were sitting inside, the door used to whack you in the back.
That's right.
And we used to ride motorcycles. A lot of guys, I rode Harleys when I was younger, and there would be like 1,000 motorcycles out in front of this place on a Saturday morning or any morning during it didn't matter. It was a weekend or not. Everybody went there. And we would cram in there for egg sandwiches. Yep. And the buzz that came off of that when she opened up the spot was awesome. And obviously, she's a detriment. She's an awesome person and really awesome. And that story I couldn't let go.
Of course, yeah.
I couldn't let that go, brother.
For all of us in the breakfast world, she's the icon that we always strive to become.
She's the GOAT. She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
Now, do you have time for television, Terry? Do you watch TV?
I do. What are
you watching right now?
So I've been in this. So I watched the Apple TV. I just got into. So I just got it, and I ended up finding that M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Servant.
Very scary.
So I'm like, you're in the middle of that right now, and it's pretty awesome.
Servant Squad, and it has a chef on it, so that's why we love it.
It does, yeah. And then in Hulu, I like to watch The Bear. I just that was.
Let's hear about The Bear.
That's an amazing show. And
I mean, how many times did you cry during The Bear? Because I'm not going to tell you, I cried a couple times.
It's amazing.
How do they capture that half the time? I never, because you see these movies, and a lot of times it's just not there. But this Bear, they just captured our life, brother.
It did.
It's amazing.
I know. It really is.
And what a story. And then, to have that Barenthal, who I loved, just pop out of nowhere as the drug addict dead brother.
Yeah.
Writing and planning, best show. What about Jack Ryan? You watching Jack Ryan?
I haven't watched Jack Ryan yet.
Very exciting. If you're into that fast-paced thing, I'm into that lately. It's a really cool show. I mean, television is a big part of like how I get down. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but I need it.
Me too.
I need it.
I'm the same way.
Some people don't. I mean, a lot of guys in our industry, I probably should be reading more, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, Terry? I'm so happy you came by and visited us today over at Go Crying to Walk In.
I do have one more thing I want to
Please, brother.
A shameless plug, if I may.
No.
So we opened up in the old Port Jefferson location, Revival by Toast.
Oh my God, I gotta go.
We are doing I partnered with Scott Andrani, and we are doing tasting menu, small plates, and craft cocktails. And I want to say it's probably one of my favorite places.
Is that right?
It's amazing, and I hate to toot my own horn, but the food is incredible.
Well, thank God, because when you left that town, you went up the street, but the town that was it. Now there's more life there, which is great.
We're bringing it back,
which is great.
So come check it out.
I mean, get down to Revival, get down to Toast, and get in there, because if you haven't been there yet, you're missing something very special.
Awesome.
I want to say a special thank you to Hospitality News Magazine for always supporting the Go Crying to Walk In podcast, and Dominic Scotto for being the executive producer extraordinaire. Right, Terry?
Of course he is. Yes, Dominic is the best.
This is the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know.